The long format interview given by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to American podcaster Lex Friedman has definitely hit the headlines everywhere in the world. In India, it is the talk of the town. I am sure that no world political leader, no administrator, no journalist, no intelligence agency, no or any think tank can afford to miss that. It has got very valuable information. It opens a window into the multifaceted personality of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. It gives us an idea of how he conducts the administration, what is in his mind, how India's BJP government is ruling the country, and what are the goals and principles that guide the government. So much important. I would try to deconstruct the whole interview, explain the focus areas, then try to analyze the viewpoints of Prime Minister Narendra Modi within a short time. Welcome to Insights. I am Hari Kumar. You know, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had not given many interviews. As the Prime Minister, he keeps journalists at a hand's distance, but he was not like that earlier. As the Chief Minister of Gujarat, he used to interact with the journalists very closely. I have been told by my journalist friends who had interacted with him that he often provided valuable inputs to them and even often guided them. When he was the General Secretary of the Bharatiya Janata Party in 1990s, so they all wonder why, as Prime Minister, he keeps himself at a distance from media world. Perhaps he has got his own reasons. Perhaps the attitude of Indian media towards Prime Minister Narendra Modi might have been a reason, because there was a conspiracy against Prime Minister Narendra Modi becoming the Prime Minister. There were deliberate efforts from the part of media to portray him in poor light. There were efforts to downplay him, and so many factors were there perhaps that could have influenced his attitude towards journalists also. Now, I have seen interviews of many popular and noted administrators and political leaders of India. You know, I would name a few of them, like Atal Bihari Vajpayee. He was a master of Hindi language. So his interviews used to be replete with, couplets from Hindi poems, then other anecdotes. Everything was there. So you would realize the beauty of the language, the potential of the language, and his subtle usages, the way he used language as a tool. Prime Minister Narendra Modi does not belong to that category. Then there was Indira Gandhi, who had mastery over English language. So she also had a skill to make repartees, to give fitting replies, to hide couch certain unpleasant truths using the complexities of language. She belonged to a different genre. Then there was Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha of Tamil Nadu. She also had great mastery over English language. Once I had seen how she evaded unpleasant questions from Karan Thapar and how eventually she took control of the whole interview. And then I would say there was K. Karunakaran, who had limited vocabulary but still used the maximum, his potential he exploited maximum. Optimum usage of available resources was made by him. So there were political leaders like that, but Narendra Modi, I think, doesn't belong to that category. So he is a different person. I think I'm neither a bhakt, or there are people who think that Modi is a demigod, Modi is only next to God, something like that. I don't belong to that group. Neither do I dismiss him as a worthless person, as some pseudo left liberal journalists in India do. Unfortunately, even some of the top journalists in India belong to that category, and perhaps that is why Prime Minister Narendra Modi refused to speak to such people. But here, I have noticed that, of course, Lex Friedman had prepared the questions. He was reading questions like this from the paper. As a journalist, we would not be impressed by when a person just reads out a few questions, because anybody can do that. If there is a research team behind, good research team is there to help anyone who can read English can read that out. But here, I think the questions were framed in such a way as to elicit maximum information from Mr. Narendra Modi, and he also cooperated very well with that. So that makes the interview very significant. One aspect, I noticed from Prime Minister Modi's replies is that his emphasis on endurance, resilience, discipline. So that was built in him right from his childhood days. He was a disciplined person. He extended himself to very difficult situations. He tested himself like that, and he believed, I think he developed his discipline and endurance because of that. For example, on very cold nights, he would stay outside without any protective gear. It was very difficult because in North India, winters are harsh. Not that they fall below 0 degree, but they could be around 2 or 3 degrees. So even in that climate, staying outside is a very tough task. Prime Minister Narendra Modi used to do that. So he built up his endurance. Another aspect which I noticed from the interview, is before he became an administrator, a ruler, he had great experience in politics by building up his party or doing organization work. So I think this is the key aspect that helps him as a ruler, as an administrator. At the beginning part of his interview, he says he gets a lot of information from different channels. So he's not dependent on official information only. Like that, I would recall the fall of Indira Gandhi. When Indira Gandhi declared emergency and she was mulling about conducting a poll, the intelligence agencies gave her a wrong input that her popularity is very high and this is the right time to conduct an interview. I think that was a fault and that was a mislead. So eventually that led to the fall of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, because she had only one source, the official source for information. Unlike that, Prime Minister Narendra Modi now said he depends on multiple sources for information. That is a great advantage. Of course, he has an organization like RSS behind him. So this could be one of the advantages compared to Indira Gandhi. This is one aspect which I noted, and I think that is a great information. Then about endurance. Political leaders need to have endurance. They need to work round the clock. They need to travel a lot. They need to interact with people. They need to multitask. Here comes developing inner discipline and strength. You have to keep your mind in concentration. Prime Minister Narendra Modi learned it through religion. So this is what differentiates him with the liberal leaders of many countries. He was a man who was brought up in spirituality, who interacted with many spiritual leaders. At 17 or 18, he wandered around Himalayas, and he believes in meditation. He believes in keeping his mind calm and keeping his brain level-headed. So this, I think, is helping him to take the right decisions. So multi-channel information sources, then cool analysis, bringing out the reality. He is not very emotional, unlike many political leaders. So these are all factors, I think, that are helping Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And the interviewer has been able to bring out those aspects from him. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, many people mock him for not being very well educated. Perhaps people just confine their definition or idea of education to, formal education. You need not study in Cambridge, Harvard, Stanford, Oxford, or even in the prestigious Ivy League institutions of India. Education is a process that should last throughout the life. Here, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a constant learner. He says that. He says he often listens. He asks questions to people who give him information. If he doesn't know, he is not afraid, or he would ask them, how could that be? So this is one of the aspects that helps him to learn new things. So he's a great listener. He's an avid reader also. He remembered how right from his childhood days he used to go to libraries in his village and used to take books, and how he read, how he interacted with people. Then the habit of thinking over what one read or learned. In Sanskrit they say dhyanam, mananam, like that. You meditate, you concentrate, then you think it over, you reproduce it, and incorporating your own knowledge. All these aspects are evident in the personality of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. I think it is those aspects that have helped him to win 8 general elections consecutively. That they included, state elections and 3 national elections. He is the first Prime Minister of India after Jawaharlal Nehru to win 3 terms consecutively. That's no mean achievement. These are those factors that helped him. Then he mentioned about his close association with 2 organizations in the interview. One was Ramakrishna Mission, which was founded by Swami Vivekananda. Then the next is his political mentor. His spiritual mentor is, I think, Ramakrishna Mission. Then the political mentor is Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, or RSS. He recounts fondly how those 2 organizations influenced him and shaped up his personality. So these are the organizations. So if you want to know about Prime Minister Narendra Modi, how he developed, what is his outlook, then you need to know about these 2 organizations. One organization helped him to develop his spiritual personality, other his political personality and his statesmanship. Then, he also mentioned about his relationship with other countries also, how he views different countries, what is the nature of his relationship, and what made him so close to President Donald Trump of the United States. He said many people had told him many aspects about, or exaggerated, or many people tried to instill caution in him about Donald Trump. But he said when he met President Donald Trump at White House, he noticed that this man could tell many things extempore. He never needed the help of any notes or help of any political advisors or friends to explain things. So the presidency or the administration was so close to President Donald Trump, and Modi realized that, and he says Trump is genuinely interested in making or reclaiming the glory of the United States, whereas Prime Minister Narendra Modi is also interested in making India the most important nation in the world. So he says instead of that creating a clash of interests, there is a unity of interest. So this is what he says. When it comes to China, he didn't say that China is the bed noya of India. He said that both India and China had historic relations. And after the interview, China praised Narendra Modi and China acknowledged the interview of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So the interview has served its purpose. Modi recounted that India and China not just shared historic and spiritual relations, but both countries have not had many huge conflicts in the past, except for the 1961-62 war. There were not many incidences of conflict between India and China. Modi remembers that. Modi says that there are differences of opinion, but that is there in every family. So there are differences of opinion. He is very practical about it. He says India and China had clashed over borders in 2020. Then he says now through dialogue both the countries have solved their differences of opinion, and though it will take some time, the difference of opinion between India and China could be solved. And he says, remembers fondly that India and China had contributed to world economy and peace in the past. So I think he has opened a door for further negotiations through his interview. So this is absolutely a great interview. From a journalistic point of view, I would say that Lex Friedman didn't ask supplementary questions unlike normal journalists do. He came with a prepared set of questions. Perhaps Prime Minister Narendra Modi also knew about the questions. But even if he knew the questions, what made the interview interesting was the fact that Prime Minister Narendra, many of his answers came from the inner depths of his mind. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is like a deceptive, cool water body. From the outside, it may seem that it doesn't have that great depth, but once you jump into it, you would realize that it was deceptively deep. So Modi is like that. So there is a lot of inner wisdom in him. Perhaps he may need fine-tuning in the sense of knowledge or in the external world, PR world, but he has got genuine inner wisdom. And it is that wisdom, I think, makes him different from other political leaders of India. And the same wisdom makes him popular and successful also. Let's wait for more such interviews, and I will try to give more updates. Meet you with more updates in the coming days. Till then, goodbye.